So this is a video reflecting on the interview with Professor Carveth, where we talked about meditation. How does that work from a Christian perspective? Having studied in a Buddhist tradition of Ayakema, I want to talk about how the two can work together. Most famously, the practice of mindfulness is known, and in the video we already talked about mindfulness. If it's just observing the breath, experiences, the mindset, or the principles of the Dhamma, or as Ayakema would say, laws of nature, just the simple observing of this can be seen as a bit dry or difficult to sustain, because the things that are looked at, experiences, even the bodily experiences, or the mindset, where the mind is inclining to when it's affected by, all of that could really use some supportive factors. In Buddhism, that is known as right effort, the arousal of the will towards the generating of things like compassion, goodwill, loving kindness, joy, equanimity. All of these really help to support any kind of awareness of these four bases of mindfulness and actually precede it. And that is also what Professor Carveth has argued in his paper, and I think in Vestigia, on psychoanalysis as meditation, where he has argued that mindfulness requires heartfulness, which is precisely that, and that heartfulness or right effort is the first component of the meditation, but it also can be rooted in something else, even prior to that, and that is what I also want to introduce the work of Carveth for, who talks about the importance of conscience, voice that wants us to come home to safety, these wholesome states, doesn't judge, and is opposed to what he has defined as the superego, which is critical, endless in its criticisms, and really can be compared to what in the teachings of the Buddha is known as craving, or tanha, which is endless first, differentiated into delusion, greed, hatred, that has no end to it. And so really what that amounts to also is ignorance, and in terms of the conscience, it is about wisdom. And this is a factor that in the Buddha Dhamma, or teachings of the Buddha, would be called as right perspective. And this right perspective in 117 Majjhima Nikaya, or the middle length discourses, is said to be one of the three components that develop what is known as the Eightfold Path. And in fact, this factor of right perspective is that first factor of that Eightfold Path. And so really the meditation of mindfulness being preceded by heartfulness or right effort also can be even more effective if, and ultimately has to be rooted in right view, or what Carveth would argue is right, or conscience, this gentle voice pointing us to a path that leads to a wholesome state. To the extent that we can listen to that voice is the extent to which we can actually generate a path that, after that right perspective or conscience, leads to intentions, speech, actions, lifestyle, which is the basis for the meditation. So even if you would say heartfulness comes before mindfulness. There often might be the case of kind of forcibly generating compassion or loving kindness. And then if it doesn't work, that leads to stress. And so just like the mindfulness on its own can be sort of in need of these supportive factors, this right effort that could be those supportive factors can also itself be supported or directed to exactly the spots or ways where it needs to be or can emerge. That is rooting it in wisdom. So the first meditative question could be, what is friendliness in this moment? Friendliness is argued by the Buddha, or switching between the two, is seen as a factor that develops the whole of the Eightfold Path. And asking this question at the beginning of the meditation also can take away any kind of pressure to perform in a meditation, that in a meditation there should be loving kindness or these divine abodes or Brahma Viharas or heartfulness. We can simply see what is needed in this moment. That said, that is then introducing almost a factor, conscience, you could argue. It's often translated from a Buddha Dhamma perspective as fear of wrongdoing. But really, as Carveth argues, it isn't really a voice of fear. It really is a voice of wisdom. And that is a difference and an important helping aid in practicing the Eightfold Path. So, to conclude finally, 3 factors develop the Eightfold Path. They are right view, right intention, they are right view, right effort, right mindfulness. That right view is from the Buddha Dhamma comprised out of what is wisdom. The conscience can be helpful for that and be the basis for the intention, speech, actions, lifestyle, and then also the right effort, which is the arousing of wholesome states and the abandoning of unwholesome states that surround the body, heart, mind, everything, to cultivate or grow an awareness that is then able to much more effectively integrate, which is actually the last factor of the Eightfold Path, samadhi, which is translated as unification of mind, also in 117 Majjhima Nikaya. And other than unification of mind, you could argue it's integration of mind. So it is wisdom, intention, speech, action, lifestyle, effort, and then mindfulness that is supported by all of this can then lead to an integration of these factors, which means also letting go of actions that were unwholesome, cultivating actions that were wholesome, therefore creating the right factor of the path, which is right action. Same with the right speech and the right lifestyle. So that is all developed by the process of right view or conscience, right effort, and then the mindfulness that becomes aware more effectively of the various details, intricacies that can then be changed by this effort.